does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Joey Odoms with the performance of the national anthem, the Ravens' new anthem singer. He met John Harbaugh in Afghanistan during the offseason when Coach Harbaugh was in Afghanistan on a tour to visit with troops. He said he'd love to sing the national anthem. John Harbaugh said, call a gentleman named Kevin Byrne, the vice president of public relations. Joey Odoms made the connection, and now he is the Ravens' national anthem singer. Want to head down to the field and Brent Harris. Brent, this is a defense that is missing 3 key corners. What do they do tonight?
Jerry, they're going to be thin at quarterback. Top 3 are out. Ladarius Webb has the back injuries. He's missed all of the preseason. Last week, Jimmy Smith went down in the Dallas game with a chest injury. And then Asa Jackson's been dealing with an ankle injury. But this just opens the door for other guys. Shockey Brown, Dominic Franks will get a start. Great opportunity for those guys. A chance to make an impression, a chance to make plays, and certainly a chance, as anyone on the sideline will tell you, to make this team. And Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive secondary coach, said it gives us a chance to see some of the young guys get some extra reps, and we'll see what they can do. Jerry?
All right, Brent, we will get that look tonight, and it'll be a long-lasting look as Ladarius Webb will look on from the field of the sideline tonight. Ravens hoping to have him back for the season opener here at M&T Bank Stadium against the Cincinnati Bengals to get the regular season started in September. The Washington Redskins won the coin toss and have elected to defer. So, Q, the Ravens will get what they wanted on offense, the chance for a fast start.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you get a chance to have your offense take the field, you want to see what they got, and what they got, it's about driving down the football field on that opening drive, setting the proper tone and putting points up on the board right away.
Jacoby Jones with 7 career return touchdowns, 4 by punt return, 3 by kick return. And arguably the biggest, of course, was in Super Bowl 47 when he electrified the crowd to start the second half. We are underway in week 3 of the preseason. Jones takes it on the run at the 1. Across the 15. He'll dance his way past 1 tackler, but stops shy of the 20-yard line. Joe Flacco and the Ravens coming on the field for their first chance as we start tonight. Flacco last year just shy of 4,000 yards, a career high, but he also had 19 touchdowns against 22 interceptions, an imbalance of numbers that he wants to change in a big way this season. And with Gary Kubiak's new offense, Flacco's completion percentage should mushroom in the positive direction. Flacco to throw on first down. Slings it complete. Kyle Juszczyk escapes the tackle at the 30, across the 40, and he's out to the 42-yard line. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Ravens tonight, following that 23-yard gain by the second-year fullback from Harvard. At wide receiver, the law firm Smith & Smith Sr. with Bernard Pierce in the backfield with Juszczyk. Dennis Pitta, the tight end tonight. Up front, Jeremy Zuttah is the center. He's new, as is right tackle Rick Wagner, and a rebuilt offensive line. Joe Flacco making the calls. He'll pass again on first down. Has to sprint to his right to buy time. Fires the ball, and it is caught by a sliding Crockett Gilmore and ruled incomplete.
Boy, I got to go back to the first play where I'm going to call Kyle Juszczyk. He likes to call himself Juice, and that's what everybody says, but it's all about being Weapon X. This play right here, it's a great job of Joe finding that third receiver. However, I think that's a catch.
I would challenge that.
You look at further review, that's a Bertie Manuel where his hand was underneath that ball.
No challenge flag thrown. It's 2nd and 10. Ball is at the Ravens 42. Give us to Pierce, working off right tackle, and he won't get far. Maybe a half a yard. Stop just shy of the 43. And the Ravens will face their first third down opportunity. To go back to that Crockett-Gilmore catch in the regular season, that's where coach communication becomes vital, because you can't afford to give up that kind of yardage, Stan.
Yeah, and he didn't act like he caught it, though. You know, he didn't come off saying, Coach, I caught that ball or anything. Maybe he's unsure what the rule is, but it looks like he had his hand under it, and he, you know, I don't know if it hit the ground afterwards when he brought it down. It didn't look like it. It looked like he had control,
It's a rookie mistake. If you make the catch, you've got to be theatrical about it. On third down, Flacco out of the shotgun. His pass across midfield is complete to Gilmore. It will be close to, but just shy of a first down. Had to get to the, check that pitta. Had to get to the 48 of the Redskins. They spotted about 6 inches shy, and the Ravens are going to go for it after the Dennis Pitta completion.
That's when I think during the regular season you run up there and you quick snap it and you quarterback sneak as quickly as you can. But here they want to work on their short yardage offense.
It'll be 4th and less than 1. Bernard Pierce, the deep back. Kyle Juszczyk, the up back. Give us to Pierce off left tackle, hit the line and stop for a loss.
Well, the defense did a good job of spilling the play to the outside, and the linebacker scraping off. He took a good angle. He went upfield on the scrape to make the play. The outside linebacker bounces it. The middle linebacker comes around off the scrape and makes the play.
Yeah, Robinson,
that's just good defense.
I'm about to say Robinson did a great job of really finding his spot and making a strong open field tackle on Bernard Pierce. That's what Kyle Juszczyk, I think if there's an area he needs to improve, it's that point of attack blocking for a fullback.
Robert Griffin III in the pistol formation. Movement on the left side of the Redskins offensive line. That'll back Washington up 5 yards on the false start.
Unless they say Suggs made him go off.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 55. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Clete Blakeman, our referee tonight.
There's no doubt. They didn't move. Suggs was trying to get a jump on the snap. Anticipate a little bit or guessed a little bit on the snap count. Got to watch the ball.
So instead of backing the Redskins up, it moves the Redskins forward 5 yards. 1st and 5 from the Ravens 45. Redskins first snap from center. Give up the middle. Alfred Morris, big hole inside the 30, inside the 25, and finally brought down after a 19-yard ramble. The Redskins establishing their run game and some shoving at the end. That's Haloti Ngata. Has to be separated from a wide receiver. Boy, that's a mismatch. I'll take Haloti in that every time.
Yeah, I think I would too. But just a zone play up the middle, and Morris does a good job of finding the gap. You got to close down all those gaps, because I don't think they're going to run the quarterback that much this year, but particularly in the preseason. So you don't have to, you know, keep that backside force for the quarterback.
Again, the pistol formation. We saw the Ravens use this a good deal last year off the play fake. Griffin's pass is intercepted at the 10. Flags down as the rookie Terrence Brooks comes up with his first interception of preseason, but flags are down at the 10-yard line.
Yeah, the corner made contact way before the ball was there, so that's what caused the ball to bounce up in the air. So,
well, I will say this:
interference, defense, number 42. The ball was placed at the spot of foul. First down, Washington.
Yeah, he makes a good break on the ball, but he went through the receiver rather than going in front of the receiver. Once he made the contact, that was
a good job, though, I will say, for Terrence Brooks, who, being in the right spot, making a play like that, you got to grow your confidence.
Yeah, there's no doubt, because the one thing he didn't have a lot of in college was interceptions. He didn't, and people wonder, can you be a safety in this league and not have a lot of interceptions? But having very many interceptions.
But not a good play by Dominique Franks at corner. Not maximizing his opportunity. First and goal from the 10. Morris sweeping to the left. He'll be stacked up at the line. Here's the Ravens starting defensive lineup. Brandon Williams, second-year player out of Missouri Southern State, at the nose guard position with the veterans Ngata and Canty. The linebacking core, there's the youth. First-round draft pick C.J. Mosley. First pick out of Alabama, and Courtney Upshaw on the outside from Alabama. In the secondary, this will not look like this in September. Shockey Brown and Dominic Franks in corner. Matt Elam, the second-year safety, first-round pick a year ago. 2nd and 9. But RG3 saw something he didn't like. He'll use the Redskins' first timeout. 11:14 to play, opening quarter, scoreless at M&T Bank Stadium.
Washington, this will be their first timeout. This will be a 32nd timeout.
The Ravens were stopped on 4th and less than 1 on their first possession, and now they're going to have to see, Stan, if John Harbaugh's defense can come up with a red zone stop.
Well, they have them in a good situation now, obviously. This is where they got to come up with a play defensively. You got 2nd down on 9 on the 9. This is throwing down. But you can't give up a gap on we talk about in the red zone to score. You got to be able to run the ball effectively. This is where you can't give up that 5 or 6 or 7 yard run to give them that 3rd and 2 and let the situation be tough defensively.
Jay Gruden in his first year as the Washington Redskins head coach. And we talk so much about the brothers Harbaugh, John and Jim. Well, the brothers Gruden with high-profile positions now. John at the network. Jay on the sideline in Washington. 2nd and goal from the 9. Alfred Morris on the carry, hit in the backfield, and he'll be stopped for a loss back to the 10-yard line as Brandon Williams came charging in. And the second-year player from Missouri Southern State is starting to make a stake for playing time in the middle of that Ravens defense.
It's all about rotation. You have to have proper rotation. Guys that can come in, spell your starting line, and be disruptive. Brandon Williams is that guy. They're looking to be as disruptive as when Haloti Ngata is off the field.
Penetration is called, and he got it on that play.
Griffin shifts Alfred Morris to his left on 2nd and goal. The 3rd and goal from the 10. RG3 escaping to the right, stiff on one man, and he'll be dragged down out of bounds. Terrence Brooks, the rookie.
He almost looked like a spy on that play, Jerry.
3rd-round pick out of FSU showed the kind of athleticism that impressed Ozzie Newsome. When you're in the open field with RG3 and you can out-athlete RG3, you're a special talent.
Well, you watch him, he just sprints up. He leaves any coverage he might have had and sprints up. So my guess is they had him spying RG3 in that situation, taking away an initial cut of one of the receivers and then being a spy.
Kai Forbath on to attempt a 32-yard field goal try. His kick is good. And with 10:16 to play in the opening quarter, it's the Redskins who strike first and lead 3-0 on the Ravens game day network. The Redskins lead it with 10:16 to play in the opening quarter. Terrence Brooks coming up with a big play on RG3, coming up with the first sack of the game. For each sack made by the Ravens during the 2014 season, Constellation will send one group of students to visit Power Up, the exhibit at the Maryland Science Center. To learn more, visit BaltimoreRavens.com/sacks4science. Terrence Brooks showing some of the things that we didn't hear much from, Stan, early in training camp, but Dean Pease has spoken of a lot lately that this kid is starting to catch on to the speed of the game.
Yeah, and speed is what I like there. I mean, he was playing full out. We're talking to Q in the break. I mean, that was an impressive play because he didn't hesitate at all. And that means he knew what his responsibility was, and he played full speed. That's what's called playing fast. And a fast guy playing fast made a good play.
Oh, yeah.
Kai Forbath kicks it off to Jacoby Jones, takes it 4 yards deep, brings it out of the end zone. Crowd at the 10 eludes that, but he's taken down at the 17-yard line. We'll be back. 10:11 to play. Opening quarter. Redskins 3, Ravens nothing on the Ravens game day network. Papa John's and Torrey Smith are teaming up again this year. Order the Torrey Smith special tonight, and $1 off of every sale from this order will be donated to the Torrey Smith Foundation. Simply enter promo code TS82 online at PreseasonPizza.com. Pizza in the house. Let's see what we have in the way of menu. Little cheese over here, gentlemen.
What do I get?
Wow.
I hit the jackpot, otherwise known as double pepperoni.
Oh, yeah. the king of double.
There you go.
And let's face it, that falls right at your mantra. If it's your mantra, if it's free,
Get two.
There
That's
you
why I
go.
did double pepperoni.
Somehow you
go.
guys didn't get the third pizza box. What the heck?
I'll share with you, buddy.
Maybe.
Come on, there
Thank
you go.
you. Thank
Cheese
you.
for you.
Okay, if I have
Now.
a piece left, I'll let you have
Gotta
it.
keep these guys happy.
Some of the crust.
Well, Joe Flacco none too happy with the way the Ravens' first possession ended in a 4th and inches, and the Ravens were stopped at midfield. Gary Kubiak wants to see a longer drive here. The Ravens will start this one at their 17-yard line. Ray Rice getting his first action of the night. He's the lone back. 3 receivers to the right. End around of Jacoby Jones, and he's in a world of trouble back at the 5, and he's going to run out of room at the 11-yard line. Keenan Robinson with the pressure on the edge, forcing Jones out of bounds.
Yeah, I think Gary Kubiak will probably look at that play and scratch it off the list of plays to call. They were just stacked at the line of scrimmage, and again, you know, Kerrigan and company had great penetration, which caused Jacoby Jones to get off track and head sideways as opposed to going up the field. That's a tough play. You got to have a lot of flow to your offense before you would have a misdirection, but it puts the defense on edge and says there's an unpredictable element to your game.
Justin Forsett in the backfield. Flacco wants to throw from the gun. Slant pattern complete. Steve Smith Sr. And Smith Sr. will get the ball out to the 20-yard line where Brandon Merriweather brings him down. Ravens looking at a 3rd down, their second 3rd down opportunity after an 8-yard gain.
Yeah, this is one of those plays where you just want to get it into your playmaker's hand. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this quick under route, if you would call it, where you're just running about 5 yards and just vertically getting up the field as soon as you get the ball into your hands.
Flacco says that quick slant to Steve Smith is the hardest throw to make because it's like trying to hit the engineer of a train at 800 miles an hour. Good protection here. Now Flacco in trouble, and he's sacked back inside the 10. A coverage sack for the Redskins as Jason Hatcher, the free agent pickup from the Dallas Cowboys, finishes off the Ravens 3 and outs. Good protection to start things there, Stan, but the receivers didn't get open.
Well, yeah, they brought 5 guys, and that means they're light on the coverage, but they read the pattern well and jumped into the lanes that he wanted to throw it. He had nowhere to throw the football.
Sam Cook punting out of his end zone. Deshaun Lawrence will field it back to the Redskins 35 across the 40 midfield. Ravens territory, finally taken down at the 42-yard line. It was Andre Roberts on the return. 8:14 to play. First quarter. Ravens trailing the Redskins 3-0 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Fast start Q talked about. Stan, take us through the defensive keys tonight.
No runs of 10+ yards. What was the first carry? Like
18 yards.
18 yards. Can't have that. Tackling, that was part of that run. Not great tackling. And corners keep the play in front of them. That doesn't mean you run over them, though, to get
But
when
he
they're
did.
in front of you.
Dominique Franks did keep it in front of him.
Yeah, he did.
I guess I got to be more specific about it.
John Harbaugh's expression says it all in the first quarter. None thrilled with what he has seen so far. Redskins start on the 42 of the Ravens. Alfred Morris on the carry, working off the left edge. Darryl Smith will bring him down at the 40-yard line.
Stan, doesn't it seem as though it takes the defense a millisecond to kind of figure out what the offense is doing, to get back to the sideline, look at their iPads, and then all of a sudden you see a renewed focus from this group?
Yeah, a lot of times that's the way, because I don't know if they're doing it in the preseason, but in the regular season, they always come out in the first series with something you haven't ever seen, just to try to throw you off and make you question your own game plan.
So even in week 3 of the preseason, Dean Pease in adjustment mode, and he's trying to get his players there as well. RG3 and a quick toss complete inside the 40-yard line. And taking it down to about the 37.
That was a great read by
Pierre Garçon.
By Doomerville, though. He saw the tackle not block him and leave for the screen, and he just beat the tackle to the play. And the wide receivers trying to get underneath the linemen who are coming out, and all he saw was Doomerville coming right at him. He sort of ducked down and says, "Let me get down with this thing."
Self-preservation.
Yeah.
3rd down and 5. We approach 7 minutes left in the opening quarter. the punt team on for Washington.
Yeah, just fumbled the snap on this, and that's the one the Ravens, you really want to come up with that one. But RG3 did a good job of getting on top of it.
Who's on top of, but look who's on top of
Haloti
RG3.
Nada, the guy who
kind of derailed the RG3 machine that was going on his rookie year.
He wanted to get the sack on that one, so he jumped on it.
A little pooch punt by Robert Malone, and it will trickle into the end zone for a touchback. 6:08 to play first quarter. Washington 3, Ravens nothing. Here on the Ravens Game Day Network. For our radio partners on tonight's simulcast, we pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Ravens Game Day Network. 3-0. Redskins lead the Ravens. Just a little more than 6 minutes to play in the opening quarter. Ravens fans, we invite you to tweet us your questions about the Ravens, the game, the upcoming season. Tweet Stan Q and I at hashtag Ravens Game Day. On first down, Bernard Pierce will get the carry. Across the 22. Pick up about 2. So we want to hear your thoughts so far on the Ravens preseason. Questions you may have about the upcoming season. Backfield certainly one of those areas. Is Bernard Pierce the guy? Will it be running back by committee? Whatever those questions are, tweet them to us. Hashtag Ravens Game Day. We'll answer your questions from social media throughout tonight's game. Ray Rice, of course, will miss the first 2 games of the regular season because of suspension. John Harbaugh told us in the pregame they've decided to back off his workload and give more of the reps to Bernard Pierce so that he can get ready for the regular season. Off the play action, Flacco. Check down pass to Pierce, and he is dragged down the 25-yard line by Brian Orakpo. Stan, if he breaks that tackle, which is hard to do, but if he breaks that tackle, he had a lot of room.
Yeah, and it looked like he was going to at first, but Orakpo obviously very strong with his arms. He got one arm around Pierce and then brought him down, which is hard to do. It's hard to arm tackle Pierce, but Orakpo was strong enough to do it.
Ravens 0 for 2 on third down conversions. Justin Forsett will check into the backfield. Flacco in the gun, 3 receiver set. Flacco off the quick release. He's got Steve Smith Sr. And Steve Smith Sr. has the first down out to the 33-yard line. Well, I think we have seen what the clutch connection is going to be. Every quarterback has his go-to guy. And since the OTAs, it seemed like Steve Smith was going to be that guy in that exact situation, 3rd and short.
Here's one of the guys that has been at the top of his game, one of the best receivers to play in the National Football League for so many years. It's great to have an aggressive receiver that snatches the ball out of the air. If you're a quarterback, you want to be able to throw it and know for certain you're going to get a completion and a first down.
A 5-time Pro Bowler. Play action, screen pass to Juszczyk. He's across the 35 and bangs his way out close to the 39-yard line where Brandon Merriweather brings him down. Kyle Juszczyk now with 2 receptions tonight is the Ravens' leading receiver in the preseason. Now there's a good chance he won't be the leading receiver in the regular season, but there's a pretty good chance he'll have 40 catches this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of those guys where he deceives you because you think he's just a fullback, but he brings so much more to the table as a complete running back.
Justin Forsett gets the carry, and he'll be stacked up at the line of scrimmage. No gain. 3rd down coming up. Let's head down to the field and Brent Harris.
Jerry, when you ask offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak about Kyle Juszczyk, his eyes light up, and he talks about how much he loves Juszczyk in this offense. One of the biggest difference from rookie year to year 2 for Juszczyk, well, he really cut down on his body fat, cut it down at about half, said it increased his speed, his flexibility. And you know what? Stan can probably attest to this. The hardest was the diet. He had to give up potato chips, and he said it wasn't that easy.
Stan still does not eat potato chips either. Flacco on 3rd down and 4. His pass is deflected, incomplete, and a flag is down at the Redskins 45-yard line. Jacoby Jones the target.
That was similar. It didn't quite go through him quite as much as Dominique Franks did, but he hit Jacoby before the ball got there in his effort to try to knock the ball down. He went through the receiver.
That is the point of emphasis that they've talked about this year.
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. Ball he placed at the spot of foul. First down, Baltimore.
D'Angelo Hall committing the penalty, a veteran against a veteran, as you expect here in the third preseason game. And he put his shoulder into Jacoby Jones, who was between D'Angelo Hall and the ball. So an accurate call and a first down for the Ravens at the Redskins 45. Bernard Pierce just level in the backfield, and he'll lose 5 yards back to midfield. Brandon Merriweather came up from the safety spot, and Bernard Pierce is shaken up.
Yeah, that was a run blitz. You just saw Brandon Merriweather.
Kyle was ran
coming
right
off of the edge and just walloped him. I don't know if Kyle Juszczyk was supposed to have that in man.
Because I saw him after the play.
Okay, did he go the old?
He went like this.
Okay,
you know,
that's
the old.
Oh darn it! Oh shucks!
See, the man
I
he
should
was
have had
supposed
him.
to block slanted inside.
2:29 to play first quarter. The Redskins lead the Ravens 3-0 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Ravens trail the Redskins 3-0. 2:29 to play first quarter. Bernard Pierce standing with the team doctors, likely going through concussion protocol after getting hit in the head on a 5-yard loss. Second down and 15 from midfield. Blitz pressure on Joe Flacco. His pass complete to Steve Smith Sr. at the Washington 40-yard line. And he breaks free. Down the far sideline. 30, 25. He's taken down at the 20-yard line by Keenan Robinson. And the 14-year veteran takes a moderate gain on a reception and breaks it for a 30-yard pickup and puts the ball right at the outer edge of the McCormick red zone.
We call that business as usual for Steve Smith Sr. The guy is just such a fierce competitor. You have to wrap him up. Outstanding job of fighting for extra yards. That is classic Steve Smith Sr.
How about Joe Flacco, though? Free blitzer in his face and found the open guy.
Flacco to throw on first down. Lost it towards the end zone. Looking for Marlon Brown, and is broken up. Good coverage on the play by David Amerson. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that's one of those where I think as a player who's in his second year who has had tremendous amount of success in his first year, you got to go vertical for that one. You can't let that come down. Outstanding job of the DB of watching his eyes and his tail. His tail was his hands coming up. As soon as he saw that, he knew the ball was coming, deflected it away. That's something that I know Marlon Brown, he does it again. He's going up vertical and snatching it out of the air for the touchdown.
Justin Forsett getting the repetitions in the backfield with Bernard Pierce getting shaken up. Flacco's pass over the middle, complete to Dennis Pitta. Helmet off on the hit, and Pitta will be stopped at the 11. Just about a yard shy of the first down. Ryan Clark, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, who has run into these Ravens many times before, with the Pez popping tackle that takes the helmet off of Dennis Pitta.
Never forget that hit he hit on Willis McGahee in that playoff game. Oh, that was that changed a lot of the rules of the game from that hit.
That's a nice, good physical football hit right there. And of course, Dennis Pitta showing, hey man, take a hit, keep on going.
10th play of the drive. 3rd down and 2. Lorenzo Taliaferro in the backfield. Flacco throws the receiver screen. Steve Smith Sr. will take the ball inside the 10, and that should be enough for a Ravens first down. David Amerson with a nice open field tackle.
I think they shorted him about a couple of yards. How's that little bubble screen? We're just going to go ahead and give the receiver a nice quick pass, and now it's all about his open field capabilities. I think he might have felt like if he had kept going inside track first and then got back out, there was more yards to be had on that play.
It looked like he clearly broke the 10-yard line at one point, but they spotted shy of the first down marker. It's 4th and inches.
Felt so too.
Referees the Ravens are going to take a timeout as the play clock gets wound down. John Harbaugh is arguing that Clete Blakeman's crew took too long to spot the ball, and now forces the Ravens to take a timeout.
Baltimore takes its first timeout. This will be a 30-second timeout.
And you can see the frustration on the Ravens head coach's face. The officials took so long to spot the ball. A, he was not pleased with the spot, and B, they didn't have time to get a play in.
Yeah, that's dress rehearsal for the officiating crew as well.
So now John Harbaugh will make the decision whether to go for it a second time on 4th and short, which it appears to be doing with Joe Flacco on the offense still on the field. Justin Tucker is on the sideline. Let's head down to the field and Brent Harris. Brent, give us an update on Bernard Pierce.
Well, Jerry, after getting some initial tests on the sidelines, the training staff now has taken running back Bernard Pierce inside to continue concussion tests. So certainly not a good sign when you talk about a running back core already without Ray Rice the first 2 weeks, and now the starter Bernard Pierce being tested for a possible concussion.
So now the rookie, Lorenzo Taliaferro, will be behind Kyle Juszczyk, running formation, 4th and inches. Flacco brings his tight end Pitt in motion. Give us the Taliaferro, slams into the line, and he's right at the 10-yard line.
It looks like he's marking him short of the line.
Well, this will come down to whether they mark it with a left foot or a right foot. Perry Riley Jr. had the stop for Washington. And the Redskins stop the Ravens for a second time on 4th and inches. That'll bring us to the end of the first quarter in Baltimore. The Redskins in front of the Ravens, 3-0 on the Ravens Game Day Network.
It's one thing when you're doing against the back.
Gary Kubiak and his quarterback huddling on the sideline after getting stopped for a second time in a 4th and inches situation. And the Ravens have great field position but produce no points as we start the second quarter. The Redskins in front of the Ravens, 3-0. John Harbaugh wanted to see finishing. You talked about this at the beginning of the game, Q, the situational offense, red zone. The Ravens are in the red zone and they don't produce points. They wanted touchdowns, not field goals. They got none of the above.
Yeah, you have to come away with at least 3 minimum. It's about execution.
RG3 to throw off the play action on first down. His pass is way short. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Dominique Franks had the coverage for the Ravens. The numbers from the first quarter stand. Anytime you see a negative, it is a negative.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We talked about they're leading the NFL in rushing the first 2 games. Well, they aren't leading them right now if you go to the 3rd game and put this stat in there. But the 75 yards throwing the ball, total is pretty good.
Roy Halou Jr. in the backfield, 2nd and 10. Ball is at the Redskins 10. Toss to Halou, hit in the backfield, and he will be buried for a loss. Penetration from Terrell Suggs, and also getting deep in the backfield was Brandon Williams, the 2nd-year defensive tackle, along with Haloti Ngata. So you get the big names and the big bodies in the backfield. That's the type of defense we know Dean Pease wants to see on a consistent basis.
Well, good job of splitting the blockers and then being able to make that final move to make the tackle. That's good body control, balance, all those things, and strength by Terrell Suggs.
Dean Pease defense with a situation to get the ball back to Joe Flacco in good field position. Redskins 0 for 2 on 3rd down conversions. They're backed up. RG3 trying to escape the pocket. He'll get to the 10, tries to get around the edge, and he's pushed out of bounds by Matt Elam. As again, the Ravens safeties stand up to the scrambling of Robert Griffin III.
Very similar to the Terrence Brooks play. He was going full speed and chasing down Robert Griffin. Now, a couple years ago, Griffin was outrunning those guys, getting to the corner. But right now, I think he's saying, let's find that sideline here. It's preseason, and plus I want to protect my body.
Robert Malone will punt out of the Redskins end zone. Gets it off cleanly. Jacoby Jones with a fair catch. And he'll make it at the 43-yard line. 44-yard punt. Joe Flacco and the offense have moved the ball. Flacco has been strong. His numbers have been rock solid. But there are no points to show for it. Flacco is 9 of 11 for 95 yards. So let's take a little gander at some social media. Some of the questions that have come our way from Mad Scientist 2. Which player do you expect to have a breakout year? Q, I'll let you take that one.
Well, I will say Kyle Juszczyk, even though tonight he has had a mental error as far as his blocking assignment. But Kyle Juszczyk, I think, is going to have a fabulous year.
Keep the tweets coming. And Hashtag Ravens game day. Flacco off the play action, pocket collapsing, and he's dropped back at the 37-yard line. Second sack of the night. Ryan Kerrigan getting the Ravens quarterback to the turf. And Stan, this is one of those things that becomes a domino effect. When your run game isn't effective in the first quarter, play action is not going to buy you much time in the second quarter.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and Rick Wagner has to do a better job on that. Ryan Kerrigan's a heck of a football player. There's no doubt about that. He had a couple of sacks on Manziel last week, but he's just, Wagner's got to do a better job of stopping penetration there and not letting him get around the edge.
Second and 16, inside handoff to Forsett, weaves his way across the 45 and out close to the 49-yard line. Nice bit of running by Justin Forsett. Sean Breland on the tackle. Forsett is going to see a lot more time now after Bernard Pierce left the playing field to have concussion-like symptoms evaluated.
Yeah, he's sort of the X factor, Q. I mean, he's a guy you don't talk about, but he's played in this system before, and he's a guy in the OTAs and mini camps who really impressed me.
Not a big body. 5'8", 194, but he has great quickness. Is a good compliment to the power running of Lorenzo Talafero. On third down, Flacco slant pattern complete, and then separated. Torrey Smith hit, flags down, and this is going to be a helmet-to-helmet hit.
Might be
Brandon Merriweather.
Well, Brandon Merriweather, he's one of those type of guys you've seen before in the past. He hit Todd Heap a few years back.
Personal foul. Defense, number 31. Hit to the head of a defenseless receiver. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Brandon Merriweather is the type of receiver or the type of defensive player that likes to be aggressive, but in his aggression plays outside of the rules of football.
And when you hear that sound, that is the sound of either shoulder pads or a helmet hitting a helmet. That sound will produce a flag every single time. There's no controversy. The concern becomes Torrey Smith, when you absorb a shot like that in the head region, the first person you see on the sideline is Dr. Tucker. Lorenzo Talafero checks in. He'll carry, working off left tackle. And Talafero will get the ball inside the 35 to the 32-yard line. We're going to go back to the last pass. And Justin Forsett, a small-bodied back. Guys, he showed some ability to protect Joe Flacco.
Oh, yeah. You have to be a guy that is able to pass protect as a runner. If you cannot pass protect, simply put, you will be on the sideline. I don't care how good of a runner you are.
Second down and 7. Backs in the eye. Flacco will roll out and throw the Kyle Juszczyk, who has room, 25-20. And he's chopped off his feet there by D'Angelo Hall, but not before he moves the chains. And the Ravens are starting to put together another quality drive. This one, though, has to produce points.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime you're able to move the ball, and again, they're moving it down. They're inside. Well, they're a yard outside the red zone, rather, but you absolutely have to put points up on the board. It's unacceptable to be able to move the football between the 20s and not come away with something.
Kyle Juszczyk, 3 receptions, 40 yards. Flacco off the pump fake, buying time. Now he's in trouble. Spins out 1 sack and throws the ball out of bounds to avoid what would have been a sack from Kendrick Golston.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, that was remarkable right there. That Joe Flacco tried to get a slant and go to Torrey Smith. It didn't work. Now he's trying to reset his feet, go to the backside guy, but pressure is coming up on him. He did a fantastic job of getting rid of that football, not making a bad play worse.
Justin Forsett joins Flacco in the backfield. It's second down and 10. Ball is at the Washington 21. Forsett on the inside, a handoff, loses his footing and stumbles forward to the just shy of the 17-yard line. He gets the ball into the McCormick red zone.
The footing must be bad. I mean, Brandon Merriweather on that pass to Juszczyk had him in sight and just tripped and fell down and gave Juszczyk a big gainer. Then we see the running back here, Forsett. He had a pretty big hole too, and he stumbled.
There's been a lot of slipping on both sides of the football. We even saw some of the Redskin offensive players, as they even go in motion, they were sliding and slipping.
On third down, Flacco has to escape the pocket. Running to his right, throws incomplete. He was throwing it back to Forsett, who was not looking for the ball. He was open. And the Ravens will bring in Justin Tucker and the field goal team.
Yeah, so that's 3 trips in, and I know Dr. Pepper, a.k.a. Justin Tucker, he's going to be making a kick, and a quality one at that, but you absolutely wish it was an opportunity to put points up on the board.
Keenan Robinson got a hand on that pass intended for Justin Forsett, which is why Forsett never did get a hand on it. A 36-yard try in between the hash marks for Justin Tucker, and Justin Tucker ties the game at 3 with 10:07 remaining in the first half. So a red zone drive produces 3 points. And we're tied at 3 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Tied at 3 with 10:07 to play in the opening half. And we invite you to join the Ravens at Miller Lite as we kick off the 2014 season. September 4th, join thousands of fans for a free concert featuring Fitz and the Tantrums at Power Plant Live. Then on the 5th, join us for a Purple Friday Caravan. Go to BaltimoreRavens.com for the complete schedule. As the regular season now right around the corner, the dress rehearsal not going exactly as the Ravens had planned. The defense has certainly tightened up, but the offense not making the most of some good field position opportunities in the McCormick red zone. Tucker's kick is bobbled in the end zone, and it will be taken for a touchback by Andre Roberts. We are tied at 3. John Harbaugh none too thrilled on the Ravens Game Day Network. 10:07 left in the first half. The Ravens and Redskins tied at 3. Terrell Suggs and the Ravens first unit defense have shown some ability to wrestle control of the game momentum after the offense struggled in the first quarter. The offense has since put together a couple of impressive drives, but only 3 points to show for it. RG3 remains in at quarterback for the Redskins, and he wants it all. Going deep, far sideline, looking for Deshaun Jackson, and Jackson makes the catch, but out of bounds. Good coverage on the play by Anthony Levine, who's matched up against a receiver, Q, who has about as much explosiveness as you can find in this league.
Yeah, he is absolutely one of those electrifying guys who can make plays down the football field. But you got to credit Anthony Levine with staying with his technique, located the football, and now did a good job of not allowing Deshaun to come down in bounds with that second foot.
Roy Alou Jr. in the backfield. Pistol formation. Alou Jr. around the edge, and he'll be welcomed out of bounds as he crosses the 25 and gets to the 26-yard line. Shockey Brown coming up from the corner.
Too much. You know, if you don't set the edge, they get around you. There's nobody else out there, and then you're all chasing it. Whoever had to set the corner on that play needed to tighten that up, because they had people coming free from the inside. Brandon Williams had beat his man, and if there any cutback, he makes the tackle.
Griffin alone in the backfield on 3rd down and 4. Pocket collapsing, pass complete across the 30, and good with the reception for a first down. That's Jordan Reed, the second-year tight end out of Florida, who will move the chains. Darrell Smith at the tackle.
Keeping in a base offense, you spread everyone out, and now it's about RG3 trying to find a mismatch, and that time Darrell Smith was behind Reed, and Reed is one of those tight ends that will make you look bad in a hurry. Very talented.
45 receptions a year ago. Alfred Mars, the deep back, off the play fake. Looking now the scramble, running to his right. And Timmy Jernigan forces him out of bounds for a loss. So the Ravens' young defensive players showing tremendous athleticism stand keeping up with one of the really great athletes who plays quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I saw him. He was sort of gauging him like, I'm ready for the cutback. I said, no, you better just keep running. And he did. That's a great play by Jernigan, because, you know, he's a nose man type, and he's out there running with RG3, who's a world-class hurdler in his own right.
Counts as a sack. Another sack for Science, powered by Constellation. We approach 8 minutes left in the half. Redskins looking at a 2nd down and 15. And Griffin to throw. Quick release. Caught across the 30-yard line and wrestled down at the 34-yard line is Andre Roberts. Anthony Levine on the tackle.
Yeah, it's interesting that Anthony Levine's playing cornerback. You know, we have a lot of young corners who, you know, we thought get an opportunity, but I think they think maybe Levine can be that guy who can play safety and corner, can be a nickel guy. It shows that type of flexibility to be able to come up and make tackles and also play on the outside.
He's in his 3rd year out of Tennessee State.
Originally an undrafted rookie free agent with the Packers. Spent time on their practice squad. Ravens put him on their practice squad 2 years ago. RG3's pass complete to a wide open tight end in midfield. Spins out of one tackle and darts across the Ravens 40-yard line as Jordan Reed. We'll see his play likely negated because a flag is down back in the backfield.
Holding. Offense. Number 71. 10-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
I must have been holding Doomerville because he was screaming out to the play. I don't think he saw the flag because that gave RG3 enough time to find the tight end who had crossed all the way from one side of the field to the other.
Yeah, he's going up against a really good tackle in Trent Williams. Trent, of course, got that big contract.
Yeah, he just grabs him from behind and then slings him.
Yeah.
This is where the Matt Elam's got to get his depth, know the situation. He can't allow the deeper pattern, can't be drawn up in the shorter pattern.
3rd down and 19. Ravens with 5 defensive backs. And Robert Griffin Jr. has to sling it to the sideline as a safety valve. That'll be a short gain out to the 26-yard line. C.J. Mosley with the tackle for the Ravens, and the Ravens defense does its job. Q, I think you mentioned this early in the game. Throughout this preseason, we've seen the defense a little slow out of the gate on the first possession, and then the pressure is applied after that. It's almost like the switch goes on.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's all a part of figuring out what the offense is doing and making sure that the next time you got there on the football field, you play strong assignment football.
Malone's punt will sail out of bounds near the Redskins bench. The Ravens will have good field position. When we come back to M&T Bank Stadium, the Ravens will have it at their 46-yard line. 6:08 to play, first half. We are tied at 3 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Tied at 3 with a little more than 6 minutes to play in the opening half of week 3 of the preseason. Hey, we invite you to celebrate good game days with M&T Bank. Get your free Ravens card magnet at any branch while supplies last. It's a good time to get to M&T Bank. Q, I know you've got that magnet.
Yes.
Keep it away from Stan. They're free.
I'm telling you.
I got one
Stan
over here. Now, when he's not looking, I'll get 2.
On first down, Talafero will carry, and he slams across the line. Working off left tackle, pushes the ball out to midfield. A powerful 4-yard pickup before Chris Baker can bring him down. So it could be a little extra work for Lorenzo Talafero tonight, with Bernard Pierce leaving in the first quarter with what we perceive to be a concussion protocol. Doesn't mean he has a concussion, but it means the doctors have to go through a series of tests to determine if Bernard Pierce suffered a concussion. On 2nd down and 6, Talafero running to the right side, and he'll be tripped up after a gain of about 2 to the Redskins 48.
Coming into tonight, Talafero has averaged 4.5 yards a pop. I loved how he ran with such great physicality, very nimble feet between the tackles, knows how to lower the boom. But now you're with the first team offense against a first team defense, and I want to see how you produce and how you react to being in there with the number 1s.
The Ravens are going to use their second timeout.
32nd timeout. This will be its 2nd timeout.
He's also got to learn to follow his fullback on 4th and inches. He made a ill-advised cut, tried to cut back real quick and didn't make it on 4th down. Yeah, Ray, I don't know. Ray doesn't have his helmet anywhere, so maybe he's not playing at all tonight. So
he's more the mentor right now. John Harbaugh told us in pregame that the coaching staff had really debated, do you give Ray Rice more reps now because he's not going to get many? He's not going to get any the first 2 weeks of the season. They chose to go in the other direction and give the backs who will be carrying the ball in the first 2 weeks of the regular season the majority of the reps. pretty good chance Ray Rice's work for the night is done, and the rest of the night will be Forsett and Taliaferro. Might see some Sierra Wood late in the game. It's Forsett on 3rd down and 4. He comes in motion, empty backfield. Flacco on the short drop. His pass is bobbled, incomplete. He threw it behind Jacoby Jones, who was wide open in Redskins territory. Would have had a 1st down. And Q, I've got to say, tonight has been a would have, could have, should have night so far.
Yeah, and in that particular case, I don't know if Joe was thinking that Jacoby was going to settle down in the zone, because it was a zone, and he actually is protecting Jacoby from getting a big hit. If it was man-to-man, sure, run out of that. But if it's zone, just kind of sit right there and let the ball get right up on you.
Sam Cook with a high end-over-end punt. Fair catch signal, and the ball will bounce and be down to the 9-yard line. So good play by the Ravens special teams. Redskins ball when we get back to M&T Bank Stadium. 4:50 to play first half. Tied at 3 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Tied at 3, 4:50 to play first half. Gary Kubiak trying to get his offense to click a little bit more. Good drives, but no points other than a field goal to show for it. Right now, your Baltimore area Burger King restaurants offering collectible Ravens player cups with a new Ravens player each week for 6 weeks. Collect all 6 with the purchase of a large combo meal or a large soft drink. So score big now, only at Burger King. Limited time only while supplies last. Ravens have the Redskins backed up for a 2nd consecutive possession. Alfred Morris will be in the backfield with RG3. Movement on the line. Flies down, the pass is deflected and almost picked off and taken in for a touchdown by Dominique Franks. Had a break on the ball, a clean break. Couldn't come up with it.
That puts you up on the radar. You catch that ball.
Offside. Defense. Nose guard. He's in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
You snag that, take it to the house.
You have to make that.
My
pick.
God. Well, the coaches are sitting in the meetings watching film like, oh, yeah, we want him. That's a playmaker.
On 1st and 5. And running outside the hash marks to the 20-yard line. Good for a 1st down.
On the other
Alfred
point,
Morris.
What is RG3 throwing into a settling corner? You know, you can't throw a hitch when the corner's settling right there. That's for sure.
RG3, I think, as you look at him, is facing much like we talked about last week with Tyrod Taylor. He's a great athlete playing quarterback, trying to become a great quarterback who is also an athlete. And it's a very difficult transition to make from college to the pros. Morris in the backfield. RG3 wants to throw. Pocket collapsing. Pass is complete to Garcon, but a short gain, if any, just beyond the 20-yard line. Darryl Smith on the stop.
Well, you go back to his rookie year, and he had touchdowns to interceptions were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Percentage of completions was unbelievable. But it was because of the running aspect that he brought into it, which forced the defense to use more people to guard him and opened up all those lanes. Now they're not doing that with him.
Not after the knee injury.
The Haloti Nada effect.
Yeah.
Morris on the carry. That was the read draw, the play they ran there that was so effective his rookie year. But defenses no longer honor the likelihood of RG3 to try to take the defense on keeping it on the read option, because they've seen the price is too high if it goes wrong.
And he knows it, because he would take that all the way in some games, and that would just force defensive coordinator. We remember Dean Pease when we played him in the Super Bowl year. You know, they went up and down the field on the Redskins did on the Ravens, because they had to put an extra guy up for RG3.
3rd down and 8. And again, movement up front. Pernell McPhee jumped into the neutral zone.
Encroachment. Defense. Number 90. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
You know, this is one thing when I met with the 2 head umpires, you know, head referees, that I forgot to ask about. Why do they call it if the offensive guy doesn't react right away? That he jumps in and he's jumping back, and then the guy jumps up and says, he threw me off.
The penalty makes it a 3rd down and 3. RG3 pocket collapsing, and he is sacked back at the 20-yard line. Elvis Dumerville and Terrell Suggs coming off the edge. And that time RG3 had no lanes open to escape to.
Well, collapse was the right word, Jerry, because they just bull rushed everybody right back into his face. This is looking for that short pattern, and just a great job of Dumerville coming around the edge. But he could only do that because the two guys in the middle took away the ability for him to step up and avoid it.
It's another sack for Science, powered by Constellation. Jacoby Jones fields the punt inside the 30, coming to the Ravens side. Backtracking inside the 25, reverses field, and he'll be bottled up at the 26-yard line. A 50-yard punt, loses a pair of yards on the return. We head down to the field where Brent Harris is standing by. Brent?
Jerry, RG3 has taken a lot of heat in D.C. of late because he hasn't learned how to slide yet. And obviously he's a franchise quarterback. Fans and coaches want to see RG3 get down instead of taking the big hit like he did against Tolodinata a couple years ago that really started the knee injuries. As a matter of fact, this week, Adam Jones, Orioles outfielder, tweeted RG3 and said, when you come through Baltimore, I'd be happy to teach you how to slide.
Flacco on first down, pass is complete across the 40-yard line. Torrey Smith comes down with the reception, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. 1:55 to play, first half. We are tied at 3 at M&T Bank Stadium on the Ravens Game Day Network. A week ago in Dallas, Gary Kubiak's offense executed the 2-minute drill almost to perfection and went 2 for 2 with touchdowns in the red zone. Tonight 0 for 3 on touchdowns in the red zone in the first half. But Gary Kubiak's offense with another 2-minute drill opportunity. 1:55 left in the opening half. And they'll take possession of the ball at their 45-yard line. Q, at the start of the broadcast, you talked about situational football. Here's one of those situations. Justin Forsett in the back. Flacco in the gun. Blitz pressure coming. Quick release. Bobbled, but caught by Steve Smith Sr. He's across midfield. Redskins territory. Ball comes out, but it goes out of bounds.
It'll go back to where he fumbled the ball in the last 2 minutes.
I'll tell you what. This synthetic surface still has a lot of moisture to it. You got to really secure that football. You can't take it for granted. The ball's coming out.
They'll mark it at the Washington 46. Flacco out of the gun under pressure, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Dennis Pittum, but the pocket was collapsing.
I'll tell you what, both defensive fronts are putting a lot of pressure on both quarterbacks tonight. You do not see this offensive line for the Ravens or the Redskins, for that matter, looking in that third game midseason form, if you will.
Yeah, and they're doing it basically by just forcing them straight back, bull rushing them. It's not like they're whiffing, although Kerrigan did get around Wagner on that one play.
Here's another situation. Third down. The Ravens 1 for 6 on third down conversions. Forsett comes in motion. Flacco throws quickly, and it is complete to Torrey Smith in front of the Redskins bench at the 40-yard line, and the drive stays alive with the clock running. 1:24 remaining in the half. Keep in mind, the Ravens have 1 timeout left.
You know, part of Torrey Smith's game for him this year is making those mundane type plays.
Flacco's pass deflected at the line, and incomplete. He was looking for Steve Smith Sr. At that time,
the mundane
didn't get past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, the mundane is that 6, 7, 8 yard play at the same time as we see the ball being deflected. Steve Smith Sr. not able to get it. But that's where I think for Joe Kubiak, or Gary Kubiak, for Joe Flacco to get the ball into Torrey Smith's hands rather than having him always run deep patterns.
A whistle at the snap. Blitz pressure was coming from the safety position. Check that off the corner. Merriweather was coming on the blitz.
False start. Offense. Number 14. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
A mental error by Marlon Brown. The kind of things that just grates on a head coach's nerves. Brown's not a rookie. He's a second-year guy. You understand rookies, you don't tolerate it, but you understand rookies making mistakes in pressure situations. You need your young veterans to have poise. 1:08 remaining in the half. The Ravens with 1 timeout to work with. We're tied at 3. Flacco to throw. His pass complete to Brown, but Brown won't get very far as he is pinballed down to the turf at the 44-yard line by Trent Murphy, and a flag is down.
On the other side of the field, an illegal chuck on the corner all the way on Steve Smith on the other side of the field.
Which is a blessing in disguise.
Illegal hands to the face. Defense, number 39. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's why, even though it's the other side, you can't put hands to your face. A lot of times, if it's away from the play side, they're going to ignore the ticky-tack stuff. But hands to the face, they're going to call that this year. You know, they say there's
greater point of emphasis on hands to the
point
face.
Of emphasis, just
on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
Some confusion with the chains. It is 1st and 10. Flacco throws quickly. Torrey Smith has it at the 31-yard line, taken out of bounds in front of the Ravens bench there. And it gets out of bounds, stopping the clock with 54 seconds remaining.
Again, another mundane type of a route. Nothing deep, not a big post route, but a nice, good, strong, stick your foot in the ground, come back out of it, 8-yard gain. You continue to move the ball down the football field, but that's part of the game that Torrey Smith is adding to his repertoire.
Flacco on 2nd and short. Another quick release to Torrey Smith. He has a first down inside the Redskins 25. And that will move the chains as the clock moves. 44 seconds left in the half.
Get up there. You can waste it down here. You can spike it. I guess they're not going to.
You can only spike it under center. You cannot spike it from the shotgun formation. Flacco out of the gun. Taps it once, throwing end zone. Looking for Steve Smith Sr. And Sr. makes the catch for a touchdown.
What a fantastic route. Great separation by Steve Smith. I mean, he just basically ran a go route. And you call him 14 years in the NFL. Part of that 14 years is his ability to separate from guys. We saw it on that play right there. I think he did a little
shove here.
Well, a little veteran savvy, I'll say. I don't know if it was quite the shove, but there was a little veteran savvy there in getting released as the defensive back fell down.
Yeah. Back to the regulation length extra point. Now that we're in week 3 of preseason. Remember the first 2 weeks of the preseason, it was a 33-yard extra point try after the touchdown. So Steve Smith Sr.'s first touchdown of preseason brings Justin Tucker on for the routine extra point try, 20-yard kick. And Tucker delivers as he always has in his young career. But Steve Smith Sr. capping the 2-minute drill with a sliding touchdown grab that puts the Ravens in front for the first time tonight, 10-3.
Go route, Jerry. Joe Flacco trusting Steve Smith Sr. You see the separation and the ability to make the great catch. Ho-hum, another just routine 2-minute drill. We score.
That's not as easy as it looks when you're laying on the ground to make that catch and not bobble it as you're sliding out of the end zone.
The Geico scoring drive, 8 plays, 74 yards, 1:40. When you're running the 2-minute drill and you have 1:55 to work with, you get it done in 1:40. That was a situation the Ravens executed, I would say, to perfection. Q, I want to go back to what you were saying earlier on the drive with Torrey Smith running ho-hum short, plant your foot routes. That all set up the go route for Steve Smith Sr.
Absolutely. It gets the defense to get a little relaxed. You know what? I think I can jump this route. And as soon as you think that you can just settle in, anticipate a shorter pattern, that's when the receivers run by you. That's what happened on that particular play for the touchdown for Steve Smith Sr.
Sr. with 6 catches, 80 yards in his first half of work. Oh, project his night is done. Justin Tucker's kick sails out of the back of the end zone. And RG3 will have 25 seconds to work with if Jay Gruden chooses to let him do anything with that.
Hey, did you see Tucker look like he's running 100-yard meters in the now watch him after the ball goes out. He is going to run them in. Watch him he's going to break the tape at the end zone. He's sprinting down there. Watch him break the tape here at the end zone. A little lean. I guess they're timing him to see how quickly he got there.
Plus, when a kicker knows the ball's out of the back of the end zone, he can put his ears back and run and know he's not going to get a hit when he gets down into the traffic zone. RG3 will take the snap and a knee, and that'll do it for the first half. One half in the books. And the Ravens lead it 10-3, and the difference in this half, the 2-minute execution. Brent Harris is down on the field, standing by with Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. And the Ravens, of course, will kick off to start the second half. Let's go down to the field. Brent and the coach.
Cutback run on the left tackle, number 71, and they missed it. That's really the only yards they got. I thought our corners did a tremendous job. We were in single high pretty much the whole half, and they held up against their wide receiver. So I'm proud of that. We got to come out and do it in the second half. Most of the first half, the offense really couldn't find a rhythm, but they closed strong with that 2-minute offense. How do you assess overall the first half? Well, I like to get a rhythm. We weren't really able. We came out throwing. They were blitzing us like crazy. They blitzed our run. They blitzed our pass. They had, they were bringing the Mike and the Sam and the strong safety, the Will and the free safety. It's hard to run against that. You got to make them pay with a pass somewhere along the way, and we just weren't able to find that play, but we found it here at the end. All right, Coach, best of luck in the second half. Thanks. Appreciate it. Big touchdown there at the end of this half as the Ravens take the lead in the locker room. Jerry?
Thank you, Brett. Halftime at M&T Bank Stadium with the Ravens in front of the Washington Redskins 10-3. The corners impressive here in the first half on the Ravens Game Day Network. Joe Flacco's work likely done for the night. We expect to see Tyrod Taylor here in the second half, along with a lot of the other reserves. The first half was reserved for the starters, but now it's the guys who are trying to find their space on the depth chart. Tucker's kickoff, high end over end, fielded 2 yards deep, brought out of the end zone across the 10, 15, 20, and stopped at the 23-yard line.
Yeah, Justin Tucker didn't sprint because he knew there was action and fire going on.
Yes. Yes.
And it wasn't friendly fire.
No.
So the corners, Shockey Brown remains at one corner. RG3 remains at quarterback for the Redskins. Alfred Morris in the backfield. So Washington will keep its first team offense on the field. Dominique Franks and Shockey Brown stay on at corner for the Ravens. RG3 with plenty of time. Check down pass deflected by Darryl Smith. Intercepted. C.J. Mosley has it at the 15, the 10, and he's taken down inside the 10 as he played center field on the deflected ball by Darryl Smith, and the rookie has his first pick of preseason.
Yeah, and that's just being aware of what's going on. People think that's just lucky, the tip, but you have to see that and be in the right spot and then make that play. Just a good job, and this is what Mosley does, and Smith. They deflect pass, they intercept pass, they make sacks, and they make tackles. It's two playmaking linebackers in the game at once.
Tyrod Taylor takes over at quarterback for the Ravens. Justin Forsett is the deep back. First and 10 Ravens from the 10. Forsett running to the right, small crease, but he'll only get to about the 9 on the play. Going back to that tip ball, Darryl Smith not only deflected the pass, but then he kept Alfred Morris's hands pinned to his body so he couldn't make a play on the ball, and that enabled Mosley to come in and get a clean play on the ball. So a great combination of veteran savvy and rookie athleticism.
This is the best the defense played in a long time.
Tyrod Taylor with a second and goal from inside the 10 off the play action, firing to the end zone, incomplete. He was looking for Kamar Aiken. Aiken got a hand on the ball, but Chase Minifield had him covered.
I think what they were trying to do is give a good, strong play action fake, suck up the defense, and originally he wanted to go to Marlon Brown and then had to come back over to Kamar Aiken.
Yeah, Chase Minifield, I played with his dad.
Frank.
Frank Minifield. Bruce Allen, who I was talking to at halftime, was the general manager of that team. George Allen was the coach.
The Ravens have struggled in the McCormick red zone tonight. 0 for 3 in the first half. Tyrod Taylor on 3rd and goal. Crossing pattern complete inside the 5. Ball comes loose at the end, and it is recovered by Washington at the 1. Nathan Overbay had the ball stripped free after what was ruled as a reception, and then deemed a turnover. Will automatically be reviewed.
Well, if you want to go ahead and review it, which they will, it looked like his knee was down.
Ruling on the field that the receiver was down at the 2-yard line, down by contact.
Yes.
So no turnover on the play. Even if they had ruled it a turnover, it would have been overturned on review. So Justin Tucker will be back on for his second field goal try. Tucker connected from 32 in the first half. This will be just a shade longer than an extra point try. A 21-yard attempt with Sam Cook holding from the right hash mark. Let's see if the turnover can produce points for the Ravens. And it does. Tucker good from 21. The Ravens extend their lead to 10 points. 13-3 in front of the Washington Redskins off the C.J. Mosley interception on the Ravens Game Day Network. Ravens lead it by 10 with 13-12 to play here in the third quarter. An update on Bernard Pierce. He remains in the Ravens locker room and he's continuing to go through the concussion protocol, which is the league-specified series of tests that are administered by the team's medical personnel to any player who has taken a significant head contact, as Bernard Pierce did in the first half. So we do not know the outcome of those tests, but we'll keep you posted as we find out. Tucker's kick, fielded by Aldridge Robinson inside the 5, brings it across the 10 to the 15, and he will be stopped shy of the 20-yard line. The Ravens special teams have been extremely strong in the preseason. We saw the kick return a week ago in Dallas. The kick coverage tonight has been outstanding.
Yeah, it has, and this is where, you know, the guys are trying to, you know, show that they can be part of this Ravens ball club. I know the 4th preseason game is going to be really, really interesting for Jerry Rossberg, the special teams coach, because he's going to be making, you know, some hard choices as to who he feels can be a part of his special teams unit.
Kirk Cousins will take over at quarterback for the Redskins. And to Halou Jr. running off left tackle, and he has nowhere to go. Gets maybe a yard on the play. Robert Griffin III will finish 5 of 8, 20 yards, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. Kirk Cousins, the Ravens know all too well. Of course, 2 years ago in 2012, when Haloti Ngata knocked RG3 out of the game, it was Cousins who came into the game and led Washington to the win over the Ravens.
Well, they're subbing down on defense now. The first group was in that first series, and now it's the second group.
Off the play fake, Cousins rolling out. Throws back over the middle, complete to his tight end, who gets the ball out to the 26-yard line. Logan Paulson with the reception. Albert McClellan had the stop. McClellan, a member of that second-team defensive unit. The corners remain the same, though. Dominique Franks and Shockey Brown. It'll be interesting to see if Dean Pease has them go the entire game. Why not? Why not see what you can do the entire game, start to finish, when your top 3 corners are inactive because of injury? You need to get the backups at full speed. Cousins on 3rd down and 3 out of the gun. Quick release to the far sideline, and it is caught for a first down to the 32-yard line. Ryan Grant had the reception in front of Franks. Now that time, Q, I thought Dominique Franks had really good coverage.
It's the NFL. You're right.
As they say, they pay their players too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's press man coverage, and again, that was a great route. It was a strong throw by Kirk Cousins to put it in a tight window, as we like to call it, and well, Dominique Franks was there. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see your guys competing, and sometimes it's not going to work out in your favor, but you live to fight another down.
Cousins running the pistol. Halou Jr. big hole across the 40, midfield Ravens territory, and finally wrestled down inside the 45-yard line, as Roy Halou Jr. will pick up 24 on the play before Matt Elam can bring him down.
When you see the defenders chasing from behind, that means they ran around blocks, and they're never going to get there. Everybody thinks they're going to get there, but the NFL backs are just too quick for you to run around the block, because that'll open up a gap. Everybody ends up running around their block, and the gap to the outside is there between the outside set and the inside.
Redskins with one of their best drives of the night. 1st and 10, Ravens territory at the Ravens 44. Halou Jr. on the carry, running in between the hash marks, and on the punch move there. Look at a yard to the 43.
And we talked about the thing you wanted was, I mean, they've had 2 big runs now. That's the only thing that the defense really that I can see has done wrong tonight is those 2 big, we call, gash runs that they had on them. Everything else has been, I mean, Dean Pease has to be very happy with the way things have gone tonight, except for those 2 plays.
Last year, the Ravens gave up the 4th fewest big plays in the running game on the defensive side. Cousins wants to throw on 2nd down, has the protection. His pass is complete. He was looking for Ryan Grant. He had him, but Grant wasn't looking for the ball.
And that time, Dominique Franks, it looked like he got turned around in his coverage on the wideout. That's something where you're being evaluated. You want to make sure that your technique is sound, and unfortunately, he got a little twisted around on that one. Thankfully, it was an incomplete pass.
Yeah, I bet Kirk Cousins, that was a good throw. The other 3rd down throw, he's throwing the window. He's looked more impressive than RG3 tonight, that's for sure.
On 3rd down at 9, Evan Royster checks into the backfield. Ravens bring the blitz. Screen pass to Royster. He's got a 1st down inside the 30-yard line and more down to the Ravens 25-yard line before Darian Stewart can make the stop. First time we've called Stewart's name, the former starter for Steve Spagnuolo when Spagnuolo was the Rams head coach.
Good composure by Kirk Cousins. A lot of guys coming in his face. He gets it over, and then Arthur Brown just did not get to the, he had him man-to-man. He has to be in the right leverage on him, and he let him get outside leverage, and he ran away from him.
Arthur Brown, a 2nd-year player, a 2nd-round draft pick a year ago, overshadowed in this year's camp by C.J. Mosley, but has had a good camp nonetheless. Jr. trying to sweep to the edge, and there is Arthur Brown to make sure he doesn't succeed.
Yeah, good. That was the corner blitz. Very similar to the play that we saw Bernard Pierce got hurt on. They slant to the inside, bring an outside rusher. You can see it right here. Number 41 comes. He should have had him for a big game. See, the difference was the blitzer for the Redskins was coming so fast that Bernard Pierce couldn't make that move.
Arthur Brown looking to become an impact player. C.J. Mosley has passed him on the depth chart, but both players have exceeded coaches' expectations in camp. Cousins pass complete inside the 20, and stretching forward with the ball for a 1st down. Aldrick Robinson. Dominique Franks again on the coverage, and it looks like Kirk Cousins has decided he's going to pick on Dominique Franks.
Well, I think it's more along the lines of the play calling, but I will say this: Dominique Franks, has to be able to close the gap better than that and not allow the extra yards after the catch.
Yeah, he's lined up a little too deep on that one because he really was settling early.
Too deep and inside too. Yeah.
John Harbaugh is throwing a challenge flag because he believes that Aldrick Robinson was down shy of the 1st down. So while Clete Blakeman steps under the hood, brought to you by Toyota, we'll step aside. Ravens up 10 on the Ravens Game Day Network.
Baltimore challenging.
And a Q with you in the Ravens broadcast booth, connected by Verizon. Clete Blakeman has finished his review of the challenge by John Harbaugh on where Aldrick Robinson was down. They spotted him at the 15, but at first blush, it looked like he was a good yard shy of the 1st down.
At least, maybe 2, because his knee was down. Then he thrust forward with his whole upper body, actually pivoted on his knee, and then thrusted forward.
Jay Gruden may come out of this game with a quarterback controversy on his hands.
I wouldn't doubt it. Eventually it's going to get to that.
After review of the play, the runner caught the ball and his left knee was down at with the ball position at the 16.5-yard line. Therefore, they failed to make the line to gain. It will be 3rd down and 1.5 yards to go from the 16.5-yard line. Baltimore is not charged a timeout.
So it was between 1 and 2 yards to go backwards. Yes.
Clete Blakeman gets extra point for being very specific, a phrase you don't hear very often, the line to gain.
Yes. That means if you got to that line, you gained a 1st down.
That's like the old Latin version of 1st down, the line to gain. It's 3rd down and 1.5 now for the Redskins. They have to get to the 15 of the Ravens here in the McCormick red zone. Well, we saw what the Cleveland Browns went through at quarterback. I really think Washington could have one on its hands because Kirk Cousins looks far more polished right now than RG3. Give us the up back, and he's got the first down as Darrell Young moves the ball down to the 14-yard line.
RG3 finished tonight 5 of 8 for 20 yards, a pick, and 3 sacks. Very nondescript.
And 2 of those sacks were his scrambles.
Yes.
So those scrambles that RG3 used to make 30 yards on, tear down the sideline, and get in trouble for not getting out of bounds. He couldn't even get around the edge tonight on the young Ravens defensive back. So you watch Cousins, he's a more polished pocket passer. Roy Halou Jr. will get the carry, working in between the hash marks. That'll be taken down by Arthur Brown at the 11-yard line, where it'll be second down for the Redskins as we approach 7 minutes left in the third quarter. Talking about Arthur Brown, if C.J. Mosley isn't the first-round draft pick this year, I think Arthur Brown gets a lot more buzz because of the improvement he showed in training camp. He just has the short-term misfortune of playing the same position as the first-round draft pick. I say short-term because long-term, they're your 2 inside linebackers for maybe the next decade with the Ravens.
Yeah, Mosley and Brown, I think you're right.
Cousins empty backfield. He's from the shotgun on second down and 7.
Got some communication issues at corner.
Lost it to the back of the end zone, incomplete.
That was who had
the coverage.
Yeah. He wasn't sure if he was supposed to help to the outside or the inside. And I think he just said, oh, I just better stay with this guy.
Stay with this guy.
And he was doing it from outside in and gave him that angle, but he did a good job of getting his hand in there to knock it down. He was supposed to get help from McClellan, and McClellan let the ball go over his head there.
Well, that was a good job of carrying that second receiver up the seam. And again, he was in no man's land, like you said, Stan, when he was trying to figure out should he go to the wide guy or stay on the slot.
Redskins 3 for 3 on third down conversions this drive. Cousins fires inside the 5, complete. And Washington has a touchdown as Santana Moss puts it in the end zone for the Redskins.
Yep, Kirk Cousins makes it look so easy. Stood in the pocket. Was able to find a mismatch of Santana Moss, and Santana Moss does a nifty job of running and eluding guys and getting into the end zone.
Well, this is John Simon's the biggest problem is in space doing this. He's got to come off that receiver and take the underneath man, and he got run up the seam, and there is no big seam down there. You have to run it.
Extra point attempt is good, and with 6:28 to play third quarter, it's a 3-point ball game. Ravens 13, Redskins 10 on the Kirk Cousins touchdown pass on the Ravens Game Day Network. 13-10 Ravens in front of Washington. Stan White, take us through that last Redskins touchdown and the mistake made by John Simon at linebacker.
Well, here's John Simon, number 94. He drops out of the line, but he puts himself in a bad position by hooking on number 84 for the Redskins and not taking the underneath pattern. He slips and falls, and you have to make that play. You're down there. You don't have anything deep.
And for our radio listeners on the simulcasts, John Simon lost his footing because he made the mistake you always talk about. He let his feet get out from under his shoulders.
Yeah, you have to stay under your center of mass and understand your body awareness.
Deontay Thompson fields the kickoff at the 5. He'll be bottled up and stopped at the 20-yard line. Ravens ball when we get back. 6:23 to play, third quarter. Ravens 13, Redskins 10 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Right now, your Baltimore area Burger King restaurants are offering collectible Ravens player cups with a new Raven player each week for 6 weeks. Collect all 6 with the purchase of a large combo meal or a large soft drink. So score big now, only at Burger King. Limited time only while supplies last. Jerry Stanek with you in the Ravens broadcast booth, connected by Verizon. Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. Lorenzo Taliaferro in the backfield with him. Taylor's pass is broken up, intended for Marlon Brown. Hit Rashad Breeland, who had a shot at an interception, and Tyrod Taylor is lucky he didn't throw a pick there.
Yeah, Rashad Breeland actually did a great job of running a route for Marlon Brown. That's that short, shallow end cut. And sometimes DBs, after a certain point in time, figures out when you're going to run it and tries to anticipate that time. He did a great job of it.
Flags at the snap. Taliaferro on the carry. The whistle will blow the play dead. Cedric Golston thought he saw movement on the offensive line and darted into the backfield.
You can't do that, because if there was movement, the officials would call it on the movement. I mean, there might have been movement, but you shouldn't go off on it from a defensive standpoint, because if he moves, it's supposed to be a call. There is, but you shouldn't go off sides. If the referee missed it, you're going to get called.
Neutral zone infraction.
Yep.
Defensive tackle was unabated to the quarterback. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
I said Golston. It was Chris Neald who got caught playing the gamesmanship.
There's no doubt,
Redskins.
there's no doubt the Ravens jumped, but the officials missed it, so they're not going to make it up again.
On 2nd and 5, Talafero trying to find a gap behind left tackle. Nothing there on the zone stretch, so it'll be 3rd down coming up as we approach 6 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Talafero was the Ravens' leading rusher coming into today after the first 2 preseason games. He had been really impressive in those opening preseason games. Hasn't found much in the way of open alleys here this evening. 5 carries, 11 yards.
Well, nobody's got any open alleys running the football today for the Ravens.
Forsett goes in motion on 3rd down and 3. Tyrod Taylor out of an empty backfield. He's going to try to dance out of trouble, and he won't succeed. Sacked back at the 15-yard line by Trent Murphy.
That was a coverage sack right there. You know, they wanted to take a shot down the football field. They had all go routes. Tyrod's just trying to step up into the pocket, but there's nowhere to go.
Go routes are everybody's going deep.
Yes, go, get out, leave. Sprint down the football field. We're going to get it to you. Make a big play.
Richard Crawford is deep, awaiting the Sam Cook punt. And Cook's punt will sail into the Redskins bench. No play made on the ball. And the Washington Redskins will have good field position with just under 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Only 28 yards on the punt, which is marked at the Washington 49-yard line. Ravens lead it 13-10 here in the 3rd quarter. 4:55 left 3rd quarter. Ravens lead it by a field goal. C.J. Mosley with the advanced defensive play of the game. His 3rd quarter interception that set up what is now the difference in this game, a Justin Tucker field goal.
Yeah, Darryl Smith to C.J. Mosley. As I said, 2 very similar type linebackers in the way they make plays.
And movement along the line.
False start. Offense. Number 84. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Niles Paul jumping the gun puts Washington at a 1st and 15. And this is one of those situations, Stan, where your defense now has the opportunity to have the upper hand. We saw Kirk Cousins on his first drive go right down the field, an 81-yard touchdown drive. So maybe Dean Pease ramps up a little pressure on Kirk Cousins. Give us to Chris. Check that. Evan Royster sweeping to the right. I'll get a couple of the yards back. Lost on the false start. Pernell McPhee with a stop. It'll be 2nd down and long for Washington.
Yeah, McPhee, on the edge, just barely got enough to tackle. Yeah. So he squeezed it down as much as he could and still was able to make the play on the outside. Pernell McPhee's a guy who is really playing well in this preseason. He's going to, if he can stay healthy, he'll have an impact on this season.
Up front, D'Angelo Tyson, Timmy Jernigan, the down lineman. McPhee and Upshaw on the edge. Swing pass to Evan Royster, and Royster will get the ball to the Ravens 46-yard line. It'll be 3rd down for Washington there. Arthur Brown on the tackle.
Well, that's what Kirk Cousins does. He recognizes what the defense is doing and hits it in its little weak spot.
Yeah.
They blitzed off the edge that time, and it left the back free in the flat, and the inside linebacker had to run all the way to the sideline, and by the time he did, it was a 7-8 yard gain.
Composure in the pocket.
3rd down and 4. Ravens bring blitz pressure. Cousins' pass is complete inside the 40-yard line, and a late flag thrown after the Santana Moss reception in front of Brendan Trawick.
I guess they're going to say he hit him before the ball got there, but
that seemed like it was simultaneous.
Yeah, sure did. It's one of those preseason penalties.
Pass interference. Defense. Penalties decline. Yardage is enough for a first down.
Secondary coach Steve Spagnuolo wondering how this is interference.
Santana Moss is one of the more crafty receivers in the league, and I guess on further review you would say that Trawick got there before the ball got there,
and that's how it's interference.
There you go.
We'll say it once in preseason because we'll beat him up all throughout the regular season, especially Stan.
Yeah, I'm still not sure that was right.
The officials do get some calls right. Give them credit when they do. 1st and 10, Washington at the Ravens 36. Silas Red gets the carry. Pernell McPhee is right there to bring him down after a gain of about 2. Along with D'Angelo Tyson, a 7th-round draft pick a year ago. He's another guy who is going to figure into that defensive line rotation. Played his college ball at Georgia. Last year had an interception against the Lions. Played a big role in the Ravens' win in Detroit in Week 15. Cousins operating under center.
Changing the play, looks like he recognized the blitz pressure.
He'll drop the throw. Lofts it deep, man wide open, and at the 5, unable to make the catch, Ryan Grant. The ball was just about a yard too far. At that time, Anthony Levine was burned, and the Ravens sidestepped what would have been Washington's go-ahead touchdown.
Another good recognition by Cousins, by Kirk Cousins. He saw the blitz coming off the edge. He called everybody back, changed the play, went to maximum protection, and that gave him a one-on-one against a safety play in the corner, and just threw it a foot too far.
3rd down and 8. Cousins under pressure, and another fine throw, complete but just shy of the 1st down. Santana Moss makes the reception. Anthony Levine on the tackle. They'll bring him down at the 27. He had to get to the 26 for a 1st down. And now Jay Gruden will get a chance to decide whether he wants to be a 4th down gambler.
Looks like he got an injury on the field too.
Redskins player shaken up. So while the medical staff takes a look at Moses, we'll take a look at your next tweet. And this one, by the way, I'd like to see a law instituted. Can we please have Twitter names that are names?
Achievement junkie.
What is better to look for in a rookie, mental quickness or physical toughness? Stan, your turn.
Mental quickness.
Is it mental toughness and physical quickness?
But mental quickness, you just saw it right there from Kirk Cousins. He saw the pressure coming. He got rid of the ball. He knew where the open receiver would be. We see it 2 or 3 plays in a row. You know, you can be as tough as you want, but if you don't know where to throw the ball, you're not gonna you know, knock over a defensive lineman in the NFL if you're a quarterback. You know, and so what, you can take a hit and get back up. You got to get rid of the football and get it to the right receiver. So mental quickness is by far the best attribute of a quarterback.
I think defensively too, Stan, would you say mental quickness from the standpoint of if you're a middle linebacker and trying to get guys in the right position so the defense can succeed as well, correct?
Right, and if you're a defensive player, you're probably not even going to get into a camp if you don't have the physical toughness to play.
Sure.
On the defensive side. Quarterbacks, you know, there's some that are more physically tough than the others, but if you're even in an NFL camp, you've been a high school All-American, you've been a college All
You deserve
conference.
to be there because of your physical
you
prowess.
Have to. And then some guys are tougher than others, there's no doubt.
And when you talk about the mental quickness, you reference Kirk Cousins. Granted, Cousins hasn't played against the Ravens' first-team defense,
right,
but we have seen him make better at-the-line adjustments from the fronts the Ravens have put in front of him. We saw him do that a couple of years ago in a regular season game. He's been overshadowed by RG3. They both came out of the same draft class in 2012. And I have to say, moving forward, I have to believe he's going to, at some point this season, be the go-to guy, judging for what I've seen from him in preseason. Bats in the eye. Read the deep back. Redskins going for it on 4th and 1. Give it to Red, hit in the backfield, and 4th and 1 is a no-go tonight in Baltimore.
Same exact play the Ravens ran, that weak side play to the open end, and the Ravens did a good job of penetration, bouncing the play and making the tackle. Very similar to the 4th down play for the Ravens.
Courtney Upshaw, Niles Paul going after it after the play. They are separated. Brandon Williams getting great penetration.
John Simon too.
And we have seen a lot from 98. Brandon Williams this preseason, but especially tonight. Look at the penetration he got in the backfield.
That's about 4 or 5 yards in the backfield right there, Stan. I mean, just out-leveraged his guy. All of the entire defensive front. I know Clarence Brooks, the D-line coach, really stresses so much to them as far as leverage and technique. My goodness, he's going to look at that play. He might as well just go ahead and put that on a GIF and keep on having it replay over and over again.
Tyrod Taylor on 1st down will tuck and run. He's across the 40, heading to midfield. And he'll get out of bounds in front of the Ravens bench at the 45-yard line before Rashad Breeland forced him out of bounds. A 26-yard scramble by Tyrod Taylor. I don't mean to take anything away from Tyrod Taylor. We know he can run. I want to see him throw the ball accurately tonight.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I think he wants to step in the pocket and be that guy to throw the football, but he's not getting any protection. That second, unit has to do a better job to allow him to get the ball to his receivers.
Taylor off the play fake. Started with a naked boot. Now he throws complete to Kyle Juszczyk, and Juszczyk is inside the Washington 40. Taken down by Bakari Rambo after a gain of about 7.
Weapon X. Weapon X. Put him in different spots and positions, and he just produces. He doesn't have an X in his name, but we'll call him Weapon X anyway.
That's about the only letter he doesn't have in his name.
Gotta love those guys that are consonant rich.
Yes.
Anybody who has 2 Z's in his last name is a guy who's had his name misspelled an awful lot.
Oh, yeah.
Justin Forsett, the deep back, gets the carry, running behind Juszczyk. He'll get about 1.5 yards. He needed 3 for the 1st down. It'll set up a 3rd down and short. Clifton Gathers with the tackle. Under 30 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. And the Ravens offense on the move after stopping the Redskins in a 4th and 1. We saw the Ravens in the 1st half. John Harbaugh's offense stopped twice in a 4th and 1 situation. And now Jay Gruden's offense has come up empty on 4th and 1. The Ravens are 2 and 9 on 3rd down conversions tonight. See, that's a situation that they're going to want to improve on at the start of the 4th quarter. 3 quarters in the books. The Ravens lead it by 3, 13-10 in front of the Redskins. Terrell Suggs and the first-team defense impressive. The speed impressive. Now the Ravens with a lead on the Ravens game day. Start of the 4th quarter in Baltimore. Ravens in front of the Washington Redskins 13-10. As we take a look at the McDonald's stats update, the Ravens still not rushing the ball very effectively, but they have been applying good pressure defensively. 3 sacks. If they can get the running game going here, they can control this game. Justin Forsett gets the 3rd down carry, and he's not going to get the 1st down. Stopped about 1/2 yard shy. Everett Brown with the tackle. Situational football has been a theme we've discussed throughout the evening. The 2-minute drill at the end of the 1st half, perfect execution in that situation. But 3rd downs in a red zone, Q, have not been efficient for the Ravens tonight.
Not at all. It starts up front. Everything starts up front. And if you can get a strong push off the line of scrimmage, that's when you're going to have the greatest success. They went for it on 4th down. They're going for it on 4th down yet again. This will be their 3rd opportunity. Let's see if they can strike up front and get some strong push.
On 4th and 1, play action. Taylor will keep it. And he'll get the 1st down and more as he steps out of bounds inside of the Washington 30-yard line.
See, that's where you call having the athleticism to get outside the pocket. He basically gave the handoff fake and said, yeet, right there. And so now there's
what
no
did he
one.
say?
Yeet. There you go, right there. And then, the little dead leg step as he stepped out of bounds. Outstanding job of using your talents to your advantage. And Tyrod gets the first down.
Yeet is a 30-word count in Scrabble, by the way. Ravens go right back to the ground game. Talifero will punch it inside the 25-yard line. This is the philosophy John Harbaugh wants to carry into the regular season. He wants to take leads into the fourth quarter and then use his ground game to wear the opponent down. We've seen the Ravens do that effectively under John Harbaugh. It's very much Gary Kubiak's philosophy as well. You use the running game to set up the passing game and then use the running game to finish off the opponent.
Absolutely. That's situational football big time.
Talifero with the carry. Got about 2 down to the 22-yard line. Ravens also know if you can move the chains running the ball, you move the clock right down and you evaporate time.
Yeah, and Ravens, you know, you got to think we have another game in 5 days here that they got to play.
Right.
And the Redskins are also coming off a short week. Didn't they play Monday night?
They did. Yep,
now they're back here, so that's what happens in preseason. Sometimes you got 10 days between, sometimes you got 5 days between.
Tyrod Taylor on third down, lost the ball to the end zone, and it is caught. Touchdown, Deontay Thompson.
Another go route, another textbook throw and catch from this time from Tyrod Taylor to Deontay Thompson, pardon me. Deontay and Tyrod has been trying to connect on that deep route for such a long time, and you see on the TV monitor here all the receivers running over to Deontay because they know what kind of a talented receiver he is and they know what he can bring to the table. Good to see him go out there and make that catch.
And that's the play I've been looking for from Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah,
that's
impressive.
A quarterback play.
That was an impressive throw.
That was a quarterback who's also an athlete, not the other way around. Justin Tucker's extra point is good. 12:44 left to play here at M&T Bank Stadium. The Ravens lead it by 10 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Deontay Thompson with the 21-yard touchdown reception has the Ravens in front by 10, 20-10. With a little more than 12.5 left to play, Tyrod Taylor made that one look easy. Well,
it starts with protection. He had sound protection, was allowing him to be able to make that great throw. And you just see the talent of Deontay, one, separating from the defensive back, and then two, just the smoothness of which he was able to snag the ball out of the air.
Tucker's kick will be fielded by Rashad Ross. 8 yards deep. Ross will take a knee for the touchback. Ravens 20, Redskins 10, 12:44 to play on the Ravens Game Day Network.
Yes.
Ravens fans, we invite you to join the Ravens in Miller Lite as we kick off the 2014 season, September 4th. Join thousands of fans for a free concert featuring Fitz and the Tantrums at Power Plant Live. Then on the 5th, join us for a Purple Friday Caravan. Go to BaltimoreRavens.com for the complete schedule. Jerry, Q, and Stan with you in the Ravens broadcast booth, connected by Verizon. They're going to re-kick that. There was a penalty at the end of that because of an illegal block. So the illegal block below the waist, the Ravens will re-kick it. And in the regular season, maybe you just take the field position. This time, Stan, you want the special teams work?
You want to work on, if this ever happened, where you can hit a ball down into the corner. You don't kick it into the end zone. You kick it high across the field, and it gives you can pin him back inside the 10-yard line because you got the angle to kick it high, and you're only starting from the 50-yard line.
So Justin Tucker will work on situational football, Q.
Situational football, and also gives you a great opportunity to evaluate your kick coverage unit when you're talking about trying to make those tough decisions of who's going to be on that 53-man roster.
Well, we came into this game, there had been so much talk about the controversy revolving around the Washington Redskins team name and the Patent and Trademark Office removing their trademark. The kickoff, that's another touchback. So much ado about nothing.
Well,
but as we've gone through the course of this game, the names that are going to create, I think, the most short-term controversy in Washington are Griffin and Cousins. Because Kirk Cousins has shown he is a polished quarterback, a more polished quarterback than RG3.
I'm sitting there, I'm looking at Sonny Jurgensen over here in the broadcast booth. I'm thinking Billy Kilmer and Sonny Jurgensen all over again for the Redskins. Bruce Allen, now the general manager, his dad was the coach who had to deal with that controversy.
Silas Redd is in the backfield. Kirk Cousins in the pistol formation. On first down, play action. Cousins with time. He throws incomplete at the feet of his intended receiver, Ryan Grant. Second down and 10 coming up. The Washington Redskins just a short drive away, one beltway over, but this is the only time the Ravens will see them unless these two teams would meet in the Super Bowl. Can you imagine if you had the same year with the Orioles meeting the Nationals in the World Series that the Ravens faced the Redskins in the Super Bowl?
I would think
That would be great.
unbelievable.
Now that would be a battle of the Beltways. Cousins on second down. His pass almost intercepted. Batted down at the line by Derek Hopkins, the rookie free agent out of Virginia Tech. When Derek sees this on tape, he will realize he had a defensive lineman's dream in front of him.
Well, Timmy Jernigan, he put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, on Cousins. He just came through. Great swim move and then up the middle. This guy is going to make, you know, you talked about impact players this year. He may be one of those guys that makes a bigger impact than you would have supposed.
It's third down and 10 for Washington. From the 20, Cousins' pass is caught but shy of the first down. Niles Paul pulls it down. Jermaine Jacobs right there to bring him down. The punt team comes on for the Redskins.
Good job by Jacobs because he knew where the sticks were. Let him catch the ball up there. Stay with the deeper guy behind you. And then when he catches, just come up and make the tackle and they have to punt.
That's called strong FBI, football intelligence.
Typically in Washington, that's not what FBI means. When you throw around acronyms in D.C., it's almost always a government agency. Wobbly punt, fielded by Campanaro, shy of the 40. Nice sidestep move. He's across the 45 and taken down at the 46-yard line. So the rookie out of Wake Forest with a 7-yard punt return. And Michael Campanaro will stay on the field and get some reps at wide receiver. A young man we've had a chance to visit with throughout training camp. He's been extremely impressive in practice. Has not had the opportunity to have a pass thrown his way yet in preseason. But you talk to him and you can just sense he's waiting for that electric moment where he can show off his quickness, his hands, his vertical leap, anything that can give him an edge cue in this battle for the backup wide receiver spots.
Yeah, and I think part of, you know, being out there is making sure you know your assignment. And there are times where he's, you know, run his route and it really creates some great separation. The ball might have gone to another spot, but he put on film that he could play this game, that he understands how to, you know, make plays. And so it is a matter of getting those catches.
Let's bring Brent Harris into this conversation. Brent?
Hey, Jerry, Michael Campanaro, of course, a high school star in the area, went to River Hill, grew up in Howard County. He said growing up, his family was split between the Ravens and the Redskins. But once he was drafted by the Purple and Black, he said it is now 100% Ravens. Now, he told me he played 3 times on this field, M&T Bank Stadium in high school, all state finals. He lost as a sophomore and then won state titles as a junior and senior before going to Wake Forest. And I'm sure, Jerry, he'd hope to play a lot more games here on this field.
And they lost that sophomore year. His parents saw him at this stadium lose to Joe Hayden's team. So Michael Campanaro, Lisa and Attilio's son, has a chance to this season see Joe Hayden again on the field if he can make this team and become the impact player we think he can be. And he's more than just a receiver. In high school and in college, he attempted 11 passes, completed 10 of them for 8 touchdowns. So as Gary Kubiak tries to find the Michael Campanaro package, maybe one of those plays in the package should be an end-around receiver pass. Tyrod Taylor to throw on first down, looking for Campanaro, when he finds him inside the Redskins 40-yard line, taken down at the 36-yard line. Michael Campanaro with his first reception of the preseason, an 18-yard gain, and that makes mom and dad all kind of happy.
And they should be. He ran a great route, really pressed up on the defensive back, made him believe that he was going to go deep and stuck his foot in the ground, came out of his route for a strong 18-yard gain. And I like how Tyrod Taylor, you know, was confident in throwing it, anticipating where he was going to be.
I like how wide open he got on the play. First and 10 Ravens at the Washington 36. Give us to Taliaferro. A little bit of a hole there. Taliaferro will muscle the ball down to the 33. 3 tough yards. You'd like to get 4 on first down, but at this point in the game with a 10-point lead, you're happy to run the ball, be physical, win at the point of attack, and take time off the clock. That's going to be a theme we will see in Gary Kubiak's offense. If things are going the Ravens' way in the regular season, you're going to see a lot of running in the fourth quarter. Play action for Tyrod Taylor. We'll check down. Juszczyk has it inside the 30, and he slams his way down to the 27-yard line. It'll be third down. For our radio partners on our simulcast, we're going to step aside and pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Ravens Game Day Network. 10:35 to play in the ball game. The Ravens lead by 10, and they're looking at a 3rd and short coming up for Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor trying to put together back-to-back touchdown drives. You start doing that. John Harbaugh calls it stacking drives, stacking plays.
Yes.
That's when he sees progress. Taylor to throw on 3rd down. His pass incomplete. And Kamar Aiken in the vicinity, but that time he either overthrew Crockett Gilmore or underthrew Kamar Aiken. Either way, it's 4th down and the kicking team on.
Well, that wasn't the greatest of route running by Kamar, nor Gilmore, nor Juszczyk, nor anybody out there for Tyrod, and that was a tough one for him.
This will be a 46-yard try for Justin Tucker. Tucker 2 for 2 tonight. And from 46 is right down the middle. Justin Tucker 3 for 3, and the Ravens lead is 13. A big grin from Tucker because I think he did lose his footing, but he didn't lose his accuracy. We'll take a look as we step aside. 10:04 to play. Ravens lead at 23-10 on the Ravens Game Day Network. Jerry Stan AQ with you at the Ravens broadcast booth, connected by Verizon. 10:04 left to play. The Ravens up by 13. Justin Tucker not only hitting a 46-yard field goal, but completing it with the slide. You know, they talk about RG3 needs to learn how to slide. Just take notes from Justin Tucker.
I mean, that is funny, but this synthetic field is kind of crazy tonight how slippery it is for a little bit of precipitation it had.
Rashawn Ross takes it out of the end zone across the 10, 15, loses his footing, is taken down at the 20-yard line. It was an afternoon filled with the rain, so maybe that's got something to do with it. The Ravens, a new era, are giving fans the chance to be there live as the Ravens battle the Steelers at home on September 11th. If you predict the correct 53-man roster by August 30th, you could be standing on the Ravens sideline as they prepare to battle the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Play at BaltimoreRavens.com/YouPickTheTeam. It's your chance to be Ozzie Newsome and get a feel for the decisions that the GM and the coach have to make. Red in the backfield gets the handoff. He'll get about 2 on the play. Ozzie Newsome has some decisions to make when it comes to filling out his wide receiver core. We've seen Deontay Thompson make explosive plays, touchdowns the last 2 weeks. We saw Michael Campanaro with a grab tonight. Kamar Aiken's been impressive in training camp. And those are the decisions. It's easy to figure out who your starting quarterback is for the Ravens.
Who's that?
It's easy to know who John Harbaugh is going to have on the offensive line right now. But when you start thinking about how serious was Bernard Pierce hurt tonight? What do you do at running back? What will the cornerback situation be? Pass is complete. And spinning forward with the first down is Nick Williams off the Kirk Cousins pass, bouncing off of Tremaine Jacobs to pick up the Washington first down.
The first wave of cuts are happening now, correct?
Right after this 3rd game. They'll go from 90 to 75.
I think that's going to be the easier of the cuts. But that 4th cut, as you were talking about, Jerry, with the receiving core and such, that's going to be some really difficult decisions. That 4th preseason game is going to be pivotal.
Red will carry off left tackle. Big hole. He's out to the 40 and tripped up there by Jeremy Miles, former Cincinnati Bengal, trying to win a starting spot. I think you'll see an interesting rotation in the safety position this year. Jeremy Miles had vied for a starting spot earlier in training camp, but as Terrence Brooks continues to make progress, Dean Pease faces the good problem of having to find playing time for a lot of safeties. Got a 5-man rotation back there. Cousins pass complete for a short gain out to the 45-yard line.
That is a good problem, because if they can in fact cover, it really helps out as far as, you know, not giving away what your defense is. You could darn near stay in a nickel look and still be considered a base defense, or be in a true base defense, and not even have to worry about whether or not, you know, your safety can come down and cover a slot receiver.
Ravens with 5 defensive backs on 2nd down and 6. Cousins throws complete for a short gain to Nick Williams, and right there is Terrence Brooks, who has tracked him down. Again, Terrence Brooks has shown tremendous speed and decision making tonight.
Yeah, he has been impressive tonight. This is a little bubble screen, and he just gets out there and runs it down. I mean, that's what you have to get from your inside safety on that play. He's got to close that gap. The outside guy's got to just force it back inside.
Love the speed that kid plays with. 3rd down and 5. Cousins alone in the backfield in the shotgun. See if Dean Pease brings blitz pressure. He rushes 4. Cousins passes incomplete, and a flag is thrown.
I think they need to confer as...
Yeah, I think he just fell down, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think that's what I'm saying. I think they need to confer as a group of officials and really call it what it was.
Pass interference, defense, number 33. The ball he placed in the spot of the foul. 1st down, Washington.
Ryan Grant was the target. Terrence Brooks had the coverage.
Oh, he hooked him.
He hooked him with his right arm.
Yeah, he did. That's interference.
We'll say it again in preseason.
He didn't
Refs
need
had
to
a right
either.
stand.
He did not need to. He could have just cut in front, and he'd have been in good shape.
Steve Spagnuolo irritated with the rookie because those are the things they practice every day. Redskins going to the ground game on 1st and 10. They'll pick up a few. DJ Roberts, rookie free agent out of Tennessee Martin, making the stop for the Ravens. 6:49 left to play in the ball game. We talked about the contact that you'll see after 5 yards. They're going to call arm hooking around the receiver.
That won't be called all the time.
All the time. That's not going to get changed.
In the first 33 games of last year, there were 20 defensive holding calls. In the first 33 games of preseason, 112 this year.
Cousins on 2nd down, throws to the near sideline, incomplete, and another flag thrown. And that one might be against the offense.
Now they're calling it illegal contact on
Tremaine Jacobs.
Jacobs. I thought that the receiver just slipped, and he...
Pass interference, defense, number 39. Ball he placed at the spot of foul.
Spot of the foul.
Automatic 1st down.
Well, the refs have been pretty accurate tonight, but this time John Harbaugh none too thrilled, because he felt like the offensive player working on Tremaine Jacobs, Ryan Grant, was the guilty party. There was no contact at all. Now, Stan, you can jump on the officials.
Yeah, this is why I agree with Bill Belichick. All calls you should be able to challenge.
Gives the Redskins a 1st down. Toss to Red, trying to sweep around the right edge, and he'll lose yardage on the play.
And it won't make the game any longer, because you still won't have the same number of challenges that you would have had anyhow.
Nick DeMarco on the tackle, playing out of William Penn, a rookie free agent. Talking with Coach Harbaugh before the game, we were talking about the way the officials are going to call contact and the penalties in the secondary, and I asked him if he got some clarity. Last week in Dallas, he had a long conversation pregame with the officials. He said, no, I'm more confused than ever. We all are. Cousins on 2nd down, under pressure, has to get rid of the ball as Josh Bynes was barreling in, incomplete. 3rd down coming up for Washington with 5:44 left to play.
Well, good job of disguising the defense. They had Arthur Brown in the line of scrimmage, and he was able to get out in front of the receiver who Cousins was looking for, and forced him to throw to his 2nd receiver, and they didn't have good timing on it.
3rd down and 10 for Washington. Ravens with 5 defensive backs, and Cousins looking to throw down the middle, and it is complete inside the 10-yard line. Niles Paul with the leaping grab over top of Arthur Brown and Jeremy Miles.
That's a tough one right there. That's why you're in the NFL and you're paid the big bucks.
20-yard gain, and again, I want to go back to Kirk Cousins making a money throw in a tight situation.
Well, he saw the linebacker's back turned, and he knew he couldn't make a play on the ball, so he just threw it right over the helmet of the defender, and he didn't get enough elevation to knock the ball down.
First and goal, Washington from the 7. Cousins throws inside the 5, complete, and Washington has a touchdown. Nick Williams on the reception for 6. And Kirk Cousins is not going to go quietly tonight.
That dude just makes plays. He just methodically moved his team down the football field. Great poise, great accuracy. Sure, they got some calls that favored them as far as pass interference and such, but he took advantage of it. And that's something that, you know, moving forward, we understand this is the second team unit and all that, but boy, oh boy, that guy can play.
Jay Gruden might have some reconsidering to do, because Kirk Cousins looks much more September ready than RG3 did.
Let's not forget he is playing against the second group as opposed to the first group, so it's always hard to make that quality assessment in preseason, but he sure looks like he knows what he's doing a lot more.
2 touchdown passes, no interceptions. The extra point attempt for Kai Forbath is good. 5:03 left to play at M&T Bank Stadium. The Ravens 23, the Redskins 17 here on the Ravens Game Day Network. Jerry Q and Stan with you at the Ravens broadcast booth, connected by Verizon. Ravens lead at 23-17. Joe Flacco's offensive play of the game brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. His toss in the first half to Steve Smith Sr., a 24-yard sliding strike, the kind of play we hope to see over and over and over in the regular season. It's the kind of play the Ravens brought Steve Smith in town to have Joe Flacco throw to, as well as those 3rd and 4 situations which we saw consistently, I would say, tonight in the first half. Flacco looking for Steve Smith Sr. in the must-have conversions. Campanaro on the kick return across the 20, far sideline, 30, 35, 40, and he's all the way out to the 44-yard line as Michael Campanaro continues to make a case for making this team.
Well, remember also, you're looking at his parents obviously are standing up and giving him more than a golf clap. They're talking about some, all right, son, come on now. That's a great, strong return by the young man.
Looked like Q watching his daughter play basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Your heart's in your throat. Come on, come on, come on. Don't get hurt, don't get hurt. Yay!
Nothing better as a parent than to see your kids prosper. Tyrod Taylor has to scramble to his left, trying to buy time. He'll tuck and slide. Ooh. And the Ravens are going to want to see a flag there. None coming on the late contact. Once the quarterback gives himself up in a slide,
you're right.
He's not supposed to get any contact beyond just being touched down. You're not supposed to come leading with your shoulder.
Shoulder and helmet. What the world?
Yeah, but he didn't slide feet first there. Did you see that?
Good point. He kind of slid side first.
Sideways. You got to have your feet first on the slide to gain protection.
So Philip Thomas's contact, not illegal. Gain of 1. 2nd and 9. Delayed handoff for 7 room. Redskins territory, 45, and he'll have a first down at the Washington 42-yard line. We want to get back to some of your tweets after that 13-yard gain. So keep sending them our way. And this one from Bad Politicking so far. What have you thought about this season's O-line improvement?
I like it. I like it a lot. Jeremy Zutah is every bit as advertised. I think outside of, tonight, where Kerrigan got around, Ricky Wagner, I thought he's had a solid preseason as well. And yeah, he's really strong.
Talafero with the carry, bounces off one defender and pushes the ball down to the 40-yard line of the Redskins. Clock approaching 3.5 minutes left to play at M&T Bank Stadium. The Ravens with a 6-point lead. Let's fast forward. Regular season. These are those regular season scenarios, Stan, where you get nervous. A 6-point lead because a touchdown on an extra point by the opponent ruins your Sunday. So you're going to ask your offense, in September it'll be Joe Flacco and Dennis Pitta. You're going to ask your offense to get at least a field goal out of this situation. Make it a 2-score game when you're down under 4 minutes to play. Off the play fake, Tyrod Taylor gets around the edge, throws complete, and Michael Campanaro will have the ball down to the 34-yard line as Campanaro continues to enjoy a strong second half.
I thought he was going to run that one, but he ended up throwing to Campanaro, and he'd done better off staying in bounds on that, that's for sure. Oh, I guess they did mark him in bounds.
Clock continues to run with 2:44. The Redskins and Ravens both with 3 timeouts remaining. The Ravens want to use as few as possible. They'll only use a timeout if there is a formation confusion with young players on the field.
The first down here puts him in great shape.
2-minute warning will, of course, stop the clock. Talafero carries off the right side. Second effort, stopped just shy of the first down. Had to get to the 32, stopped at the 32.5. But unless the Redskins want to burn one of their timeouts, that will take us down to the 2-minute warning.
And then do you kick the field goal or you go for it on fourth down here? The field goal wins the game, but if you don't make it, you give them the ball on the 40-yard line.
John Harbaugh will have a couple of minutes to decide. 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left to play with the Ravens in front of the Redskins, 23-17. We'll see the coach's decision when we get back on the Ravens Game Day Network. Jerry and Stan with you in the Ravens broadcast booth, connected by Verizon. Q has made his way down to the field for the post-game show, where he'll join Brett Harris and Pete Gilbert. And I think here, Stan, is where Tyrod Taylor's going to try to work on his cadence, see if he can draw the Redskins off sides, because then you can use the full play count, use a timeout with a clock already stopped, and then bring Justin Tucker on if you don't get the first down by penalty.
That's one of the options they have right here, but it's a spread, so it's going to be a quarterback sneak if he snaps it, that's for sure.
Empty backfield. Tyrod Taylor keeps it. He's hit, pushes forward with the extra effort. And this is going to depend whether they spot it from the near side with the head linesman or the far side with the line judge, because they had it spotted in two different places. The head linesman puts the ball right down at the yard hash mark, and they're going to measure it.
Yeah, it'll be right on the nose of the ball, one way or the other. I mean, to me, you give away what you're doing when you go empty like that. The only option you had was to quarterback sneak it.
Tyrod Taylor's second effort will be the difference if he got the ball to the 32-yard line. Had to get right to the 32. That's where they spotted it. They'll stretch the chains, and the Ravens will have it by a nose. And now John Harbaugh can force Jay Gruden to start burning his timeouts with 1:47 left to play.
As long as they don't review it to see where the ball was placed, because everything's reviewable by the instant replay box in the last 2 minutes, but I guess they're going to let it roll. I hope so. It's preseason.
Remember John Harbaugh's first year as a rookie head coach. Jay Gruden is going through that. A lot of that learning curve, your first year as a head coach, is coordinating your coaching staff with communication to know when to use your timeouts, what strategic moves to make, and to make the best game day decisions possible.
I'm surprised he didn't use his timeouts here. I guess he can use them after first, second, and third down now.
Jay Gruden took his headset off, so he may just be saying this one's done. Gruden has taken the headset off. Talafero will run for the Ravens. The clock is running.
I guess he is.
1:07 left, so the headset is off. That means the hay's in the barn. You will definitely not see this scenario in September.
Oh, no. He would be calling timeouts right away to preserve as much time as possible.
Jacoby Jones dancing behind John Harbaugh along with Terrell Suggs and Brandon Marshall. I can promise you the coach does not realize what's going on. And just like the school principal, he turns around and they're all behaving. Tyrod Taylor will take a knee, and that will do it. The Ravens will go 3-0 in preseason. And Jay Gruden and the Redskins come to town and come up 6 points short. I think Washington leaves with some questions at quarterback. The Ravens still have their questions at cornerback, but they played much better than anticipated tonight. The backups did. I think John Harbaugh has to feel a little bit better about the depth he has at the cornerback position.
Yeah, they held up well. And I mean, that's what John said before the game. Steve Spagnuolo said, we want to see how these guys hold up against these really good receivers. And they did a great job tonight. Far exceeded, I think, expectations going in. Because when you're missing your top three corners against wide receivers like this, you're not expecting to shut down the offense like they did the Redskins offense in the first half.
That's what they did. Joe Flacco in the offense for the Ravens, showing a very strong 2-minute drive for a second week in a row. And that was the difference at halftime. Tyrod Taylor producing a touchdown pass to Deontay Thompson in the second half. Second week in a row, Deontay Thompson has found the end zone. Last week at special teams, this week at wide receiver. Let's head down to the field where Brent Harris is standing by with Ravens linebacker Terrell Suggs.
With number 55, and in that first half, well, you guys really got after the quarterback, put a lot of pressure, 3 sacks. How important was the pressure tonight?
Especially with this quarterback, you know, he's a very explosive quarterback, and he's having a good game. He's been in a good groove. You know, he can pretty much destroy the game for you, and we kind of just we wanted to get at them, want to be disciplined in our rush lanes, and we did that tonight.
You know, this is a final dress rehearsal before that opener against Cincinnati. You had some young corners. Your corners are out. How do you feel you guys did in the secondary tonight?
You know, we did pretty good, but, you know, we're not satisfied. We're going to continue trying to work and get better, and we get to go back to work next week and get prepared for New Orleans.
All right, appreciate it. Best of luck.
No problem.
All right, there it goes. Terrell Suggs. Jerry, back to you.
Thank you, Brett. Terrell Suggs with a game face on. He's all business. Although the business of preparation for the regulars has largely passed now. Not sure if we'll see Ray Rice in the game next Thursday night in New Orleans. We won't see him for the first 2 weeks of the regular season. Guys like Jacoby Jones likely will not be in the game. Not even sure if they'll make the trip down to that final preseason game. For the regulars, tonight was the dress rehearsal, and the Ravens dressing well at times. The defense a little slow in the first drive, but after that, they got it rolling. John Harbaugh saw some impressive plays from his stars like Terrell Suggs. Joe Flacco finding Steve Smith Sr. in what we can only hope is a preview of the regular season to come. Our final score tonight, the Ravens win their 3rd preseason game, 23-17 in front of the Redskins. The post-game show is coming up next on the Ravens Game Day Network.